What up? Well, welcome back to Bomboy TV. It's your boy here, BeHaViOr. Come back at you with another video. Tiff is still on maternity leave, so today I got another special guest here with me, the homie Chase. What's up, Chase?
What's up with y'all? How y'all doing?
All right, y'all. So let's get into it. It's time for Let's Talk. Let's go.
Coming at ya, coming at ya. Bomb style disaster. Coming at ya.
Alright, so today's topic, if you didn't see below at the description, is called toxic behavior in situations and toxic. We use that word so frequently now. Everybody uses it. So I just wanted to get the homies' opinion. So what do you think, or have you ever been called toxic?
I have, and I don't understand what that means. That's what my face looks like it does.
What?
So explain to me what toxic is.
So from my understanding, toxic is just like when you just make things more complicated than it has to be.
Okay,
in
but
layman's
you
terms.
can't use the word within the definition.
I didn't use the word within the definition.
I ask you what toxic means.
I say it's when you.
Oh,
make
you say
things-
gaslighting. Say gaslighting.
I say gaslighting, but you didn't know what that means. I didn't feel like explaining it. But toxic means basically, to me, it makes things, you make things harder on purpose when you don't have to. You could just,
Can you give me an example?
All right. So, if someone is constantly cheating on somebody, that's toxic. And then that person is constantly taking them back and forgiving them. That their situation is toxic.
So the person who's being cheated on is toxic, or the person that's cheating.
The person they're both toxic. He or she is toxic for cheating, and she's toxic for allowing that to continue, or he's toxic for allowing that to continue, as opposed to, because at that point they're not good for each other because it's causing stuff like that.
Okay.
Or another toxic thing is you call somebody like 20 times when they didn't answer the phone once. You just could constantly call. I've been guilty of that type of toxic.
I think we've all been guilty of that before, especially when say for example you're in a serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Why would that be considered toxic?
Because calling someone 15 times back to back is not productive. It's not doesn't make the other person feel good. That person could have been doing something. You know what I mean? No?
But that's why you're calling them, like you said, 20 times. And if you're in a relationship with them,
right? But they could be at work. They could be doing something. They're not right at their phone.
rightfully so.
So I don't feel like nobody wants to come back to 20 phone calls.
No,
Maybe 3, but not 20.
no, I don't want
Okay.
No, I'm with you. But why is that considered being toxic? I'm trying to get the understanding of the examples of what you put.
It's considered toxic because it's not healthy. Anything that's not healthy in a relationship or in a situation is considered toxic. If it's not healthy for your well-being, not healthy for your mental, not healthy for your physical, it's toxic.
So tell me what's not toxic in a healthy relationship?
Communication is not toxic in a relationship. So if you know you're gonna be busy or whatever, like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to text you right now, or I'll hit you when I'm finished doing this. You know what I mean? That's communication. But
That's fair.
You're not communicating, and then the other person just like out in the blue, like you ghosted. Of course, that comes with worrying and all that stuff, but communication.
I was just about to say that. I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
You good? Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Ghosting somebody, and then you get that. You ghost somebody, and you send a message off, and then he's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" You say you're back on your lunch break, and you don't message back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you get those. You said those 3 phone calls. And you get a response back.
Mm-hmm. But
Who's toxic at that point?
I don't think anybody's toxic. It's toxic if you have an attitude or somebody has an attitude after because that person didn't answer the phone.
Okay.
Now, if you because the person was on lunch break, so clearly they're at work. So therefore, they might have came back and got bombarded with stuff right then and there. So you can't, they couldn't say, hey, I'm back, or whatever, at that point. So that's what makes it toxic, is when they get off work, hey, call you. They're all happy, excited to talk to you or whatever, whoever. And then you're like, why the fuck you didn't answer my call? Or what was you doing? You know what I mean? And then you make it.
I'm
not you personally, but
I know you're going crazy. I know that first forehead. But I understand that. But I feel like I also do feel like as if anything can be toxic. I feel like anything can be toxic. I feel like
now give me an example of anything.
If you prime example.
Okay.
If somebody's running late for something, they let you know running a couple minutes behind a certain time. They come back. They come over 20 minutes after what they told you, and then you walk in and then say like you get mad at me. It's like, why did you tell me he's gonna be at 20 minutes after or something like that? But I told you I was running behind. But do I have to give you like an exact time?
That's different because I'm a stickler for time. However, you communicated that you were going to be late today. However, I'm a stickler with time. So, like, I feel like when I'm doing something, that's totally different than being toxic. That's just being on your,
But it's not being communicate, whatever you said.
Communication.
And then, but I let you know ahead of time that I was running behind.
Okay, but I'm
not using a prime example. I'm just saying if that ever happened.
Right, but it's toxic when the person, after you've communicated, and the person still is upset.
It's toxic. Also, so it's toxic on whose end?
That situation would be toxic on the other person's issue if they come at you all like with an attitude or whatever.
Okay.
Because you already communicated that you're gonna run late. Now, 20 minutes late and an hour or so late is,
fair enough.
Two different things. So I feel like because everybody's time should be taken into consideration too. So that's what I always think about when I'm running late.
So how would you work being toxic within a relationship, or not being toxic within a relationship?
Communication, not always feeling like you have to win or argue or make prove your point or get your point across. Because I feel like that's become a toxic situation. Because if both people are like constantly trying to prove they're right or get their point across every time and not listening to each other, then I feel like that's when it becomes toxic because it becomes a battle every time something goes awry.
So this is gonna veer off from being toxic. So then, how do you not let that situation happen? I mean, you said you spoke on communication,
right? I think communication is key. Trust is key, and all of that stuff to not be toxic. So once the communication, I think, is broken down, once the trust is broken down, that's when I feel like stuff becomes toxic or can become toxic. However, there are people who also have had had nothing to do with you, but they've had past experiences that made them that way. So they're just constantly going to any situation with those same past traumas or hurts that causes them to be toxic just off of rip.
Like you said, those can be those past traumas, but you can't fault somebody for that.
You can't, theoretically you can't and you shouldn't, but people, do.
And that's what being toxic.
No.
You have a conversation with somebody and they don't agree with you about something.
Okay, and this is all my opinion. So you tell somebody something, they do it one time that made you upset or whatever, right? So the first time wouldn't be considered toxic to me. However, if you told the person how that made you feel, or they told you how you made them feel, and you continue to do that same thing, that's when it becomes toxic to me.
Can we look up what the definition of toxic is? Because
you have your phone?
Because I feel like as if...
There you go.
For example.
I know. Very harmful or unpleasant in a persuasive or indecisive way.
Very harmful or unpleasant. Okay. Yeah, but also within definitions they give you an example, but there's a specific reason why they didn't give you one. All they say is a toxic relationship, toxic debts.
I just gave you the example now, Nick, bro.
Anything can be toxic.
No, it's very harmful.
Can I curse on the
Yes,
show?
Very harmful. Something is very harmful. That's toxic. So if you continuously are hurting somebody's feelings, that is harmful to them. So
It's
that's
called being
toxic.
soft.
That's not. Nope. See.
That's
now
called being
let's
soft.
go into
Oh,
toxic.
was that toxic?
Now let's go
Was
into
that toxic?
No, hold on. Let's go into toxic masculinity. Now let's look up that definition because
That's just called being soft.
what's considered being soft? Being in touch with your feelings is being in soft.
No, it's not being soft. It's just like, yo, go, get through it.
Okay.
If you're hurt by something,
Toxic
get
masculinity.
your ass up and go do what the fuck y'all do.
Toxic masculinity is a term that has been gaining traction for the past few years. The term refers to a dominant form of masculinity wherein men use dominance, violence, and control to assert their power and superiority.
Okay, type in the female part for it.
There's no adherence to the gender binary in order to receive conditional value in patriarchal societies. It is a concept that restricts them to being cooperative, passive, sexually submissive, gentle, and
Deriving
from their value. Well, I mean, toxic community. That means they, just want to be in control.
And
But I'm
that
just
comes
saying-
from both sides. It called a
Right.
man.
But if you're not- if
it
you
called
don't-
a man a misogynist. But then
Right.
but then the
But if-
female side is
if
like
that's basically
they
calling
said
her
something about
feminist.
it's all
Feminist.
about emotions.
Right. So, but if you don't
But
come
it's
in
like-
with the misogynist attitude,
but it's okay for the female to be all emotional.
No, that's
but the
not
man,
what
but
it's
the man
saying.
can be. But
That's
the,
not what it's saying.
But the man's emotional side.
But
the man's
technically, you
emotional
don't
side,
show your emotional
it turns
side.
into being a misogynist.
But if you don't come in with that energy, and she don't come in with that energy, it could work.
So how do you make that work then, Mark?
Don't come in with the man rules the world. You gotta listen to what I gotta do. Don't come in with I can do all this stuff by myself. It's called blending and becoming a team.
Okay,
and
so
this actually listening to each other to accomplish
Okay.
a goal. See?
Okay, if that's what you say. If that's what you say. Agrees to try and agrees to make things work, and you're constantly battling, going head to head
Okay.
every day. No different than playing a video game or something. You're fighting against somebody else. Yes, I can agree with that.
Okay, I agree with. Okay, we'll
agree with that one.
We'll agree with that
one. But everything, I feel as if like how you've been speaking is that everything or anything can be toxic, and I don't agree with that.
I only feel like
If you don't
something
agree with
becomes-
something, it's toxic. Like how
No,
we're not
no, no.
agreeing right now,
Mm-mm.
I'd be like,
That's
Marvin,
not toxic.
That's toxic. See, look,
That's
toxic.
not-
That's
that's not
toxic. No,
toxic.
you're being toxic.
I feel like if somebody expresses feelings about something, or if it continues to happen after it's been talked about that they don't like this stuff, even in friendships, relationships, whatever, and it keeps happening, or you felt you made somebody feel a way and they express that to you, or you even just not acknowledging their feelings at all of that is toxic. But having a disagreement is going to happen, but it's how you come out of those disagreements that determines if
Okay,
it's
so
toxic.
then that comes into with the whole thing. If you have disagreement, okay, fine, and then you all work on it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
But
If
you
nobody
can't. But you
works
can't
on
call a disagreement.
I didn't call a disagreement toxic.
If you have a disagreement, you can't call disagreement toxic. If it happens multiple times, then sure. But if
That's what I just said.
I know, but you know me. See, look, that's you being toxic. Let me finish. See, that's being toxic.
Okay.
I didn't even get to finish.
All right, I'm gonna let you finish, Chase. Go ahead, my good friend.
If you feel like it's something, you're in a toxic relationship or toxic anything, I'm basing off relationships,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
If you feel like that way, then okay, then walk away from it. If it's not working, you feel like you're in a toxic relationship, move on.
Right.
You feel like you can work through it, okay, then work through it. Every relationship is gonna go through some, by what you say, toxic, because everything is toxic when you get
Not everything is.
Say we watch a football game, right? Say
That's
it's,
not toxic. That's just.
say it's your team and my team, and then man,
No,
your
I
team
don't-
sucks and man, my team's crushing y'all.
I don't watch football.
That's not. I don't care what you watch football. You said use an example. So I'm using an
Okay.
example.
All right, I'm listening.
Your team sucks. And my team's crushing y'all.
That's not
It's like-
toxic
it's like-
though. That's just banter about a sport.
See, toxic. I feel like as if toxic is like picked and chosen.
It's not.
Of,
But I feel like you only can.
it's
be
only
toxic
based on
in relationships. Yes.
Okay.
Relationships
So
and
that's
close
what you're
friendships.
basing. That's what you're basing it off of.
Yes,
Gotcha.
relationships and close friendships. You know.
Okay. Okay, that's
So we can't use banter between us two sports fans as toxic as example. But anywho, we could go on and on about this all day.
I'm right. He's wrong.
I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna say what I want to say when this camera over.
Oh no! Go
But
say no.
no,
You're being
no.
toxic. Look, being toxic. See,
No,
that's being
just
toxic.
Everything is not for public. All right, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and comment below what you think is toxic, or why have you ever been in a situation that was toxic that you got out of. Comment below, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. All right, peace out, y'all.